Hi all, welcome back to Lives. I think it's time to play a little 7 Days to Die. Alright. I am out of brass. I have used it all up, and obviously I need brass to make bullets. So, that is my plan for today. Is to get out here and try and get my hands on some brass. What I thought I'd do is I'd hit a few cars. If we can get some radiators, they're a good source of brass, like a pretty good, like really good source of brass. And then I thought maybe, I think there's like a motel or something. I'm sure there's at least a motel or a hotel or something in this town that I can hit up for supplies. I'm gonna leave that guy because thinking doors and sinks are often good sources for brass. I think you have to get fancy sinks. Maybe sinks aren't. How did I get in here? Oh. So, we'll see. We will see. We did play D&D this week. We played the other guys. It's been a while. Because we did a Starfinder, and then we did the Halloween one shot, and then we did which was actually going to be more than one shot because we didn't get to play very much because people don't show up, and people don't show up until it's late, and so we only get like an hour of gameplay often. And so I guess I'm gonna have to pretend to be everybody's parent and discuss showing up on time. Is this a fire station? What is this building? No, it's an office building. It's not what I'm looking for. I wasn't looking for a fire station either. It just the building looked weird. But yeah, so we played the other guy's D&D. It was, I don't even think we barely fought anything. I will say that, you know, we had that great issue where we said we were going to attack the bad guys before the bad guys had engaged in combat, and so that immediately started combat. But then when the bad guys try to engage us in combat, it's a surprise round. So we had one of those go down again, as usual. But there wasn't a whole lot of combat happened last night. It was mostly so we're on a dungeon floor. It's stupid. It's got these teleporters to split up the team, and so we ended up with two groups of two from our 4 players. And yeah, there's what I'm looking. I think this maybe is what I was thinking of. Yeah. Motel. So we'll see how this goes for brass. I don't know. But yeah, so we'd been split up a couple sessions ago, and so the first group was our thief and our warrior. Now I play 2 characters because there's only 3 of us playing, 4 of us playing, and usually the DM also makes a character, so it's, you know, There's 4 people, so there's 4 characters. But it's a lot of work to control a character and run a D&D session. Although, to be fair, the one that the other guy's running currently requires limited effort on his part, because it is a straight-up dungeon crawl. There's no story, there's no shopping, there's no anything. We just wander around and kill things. I mean, that's it. That's all there is to it. There's nothing else going on in that campaign, and as I've talked about it, I hate it. I think it's the worst campaign that we've done so far. Look, learn how to harvest brass from doors. Talk about handy. I didn't even know that I needed that. So that's awesome. I don't know if I need this food, though. I'm probably not interested, to be fair. Let's see if I get it from this door. I did. Totally can get brass straight up from doors. I was thinking door handles. Like, you chop the wooden ones down. Sometimes you get door handles. But if it's just going to straight up give me brass, get prepared to destroy a lot of doors. Yep, there's a door handle. That is what I was thinking of. What about these? These count? No. And so, our first group, we made it to a bridge. And the bridge, faded away when we got close. And so we were trying to figure that out. And the DM man, he was so adamant that we figure out this bridge that he just eventually told us what the trick was, because we decided not to take it. I mean, why? It was a bridge, 120 feet long, made out of magic, that was see-through, kind of. And the bridge spanned over a canyon full of lava. And so there's no way we're going to risk falling into lava. It's not going to happen. And so we're looking at the bridge. It's really wispy. I threw a rock. Oh, crap. So I threw a rock, and the rock lands in the part of the bridge I threw it to, and it sits on top of the bridge. But then when we got close to the bridge, it faded away. And so the thief, he was like, I'm gonna turn around and I'm gonna back onto the bridge. I'm like, I'm gonna grab the thief and tie him to myself first. And so the thief, he's playing a halfling, so he's tiny. And my warrior is half orc. So he's got to be pretty big. I mean, I guess he doesn't have to be. You could probably have a small orc, but I'm not playing a small half orc. I'm playing a big half orc. And so, he walked backwards onto the bridge, and the bridge vanished as he stepped onto it. And so he fell, but he only fell like 5 feet because he was tied to me. And so we're like, oh, all right, well, I'm like, I'm gonna throw a bunch of small pebbles across it to see what happens. And so they went through the bridge that was next to us. And then the DM is like, you could probably jump that gap. I'm like, I probably could, but I don't think I want to jump a gap where the bridge disappears when you get close to it. I don't want to jump 10 feet out and then find out that the next 10 feet also disappears. And then I fall 30 feet into lava with no way out. No thanks. And so we're like, we'll just go find a different way. And so the thief, he wanted to look something up before we left. And so we switched to the other group. So the other group was a ranger and my bard. Now, I don't really play a charisma, like, I know the meme for bards is they seduce everything. I don't. It's not my kind of thing. So instead I am a spell casting. I'm like a sword. They have a thing called a what are they called? Wow. I have drawn a blank. There's a type of wizard that uses a sword that's got a special name for it. I'm kind of like that, but as a bard instead. There's for me, a really fun... bards come from schools like wizards. And so a wizard will have different schools of magic. And so a bard, bards come from colleges, right? Wizards come from schools of magic. Bards come from colleges of, I don't know why they're called colleges, but so the college of my bard is a college of swords, which means that I am good in a sword fight. Well, that wasn't my intention. Must be a hole I can go through or something. Nope, you know what? No. How do you get over there? Nope, this is how I'm gonna get over here. Listen, I need these doors, man. I need the brass. So, yeah, so I run my guy as a caster who swings swords. College of Swords let me use my swords as my casting focus, so I don't have to worry about, swapping out from sword to focus, spell focus. And yeah, I like it. It works really well for me. And so, all right, let's see how we do here. A thousand brass from those few door handles. Nice. Let's go look for another hotel or motel I can knock down a bunch of doors in. So yeah, so we the ranger and the bard had to fight a necromancer and a bunch of skeletons. There's a fire station. And so we did that, and then we came around to not the opposite side of the bridge, but like across from the opposite side of the bridge. Makes no sense, right? So there's the spot where the first group is at, and then a 120-foot bridge, and then that leads to another part across this canyon full of lava, right? So then we're to the east of that, across another gap in the canyon. I don't know how far it was. I didn't even count it out to see if we wanted to try and jump across or whatever. And so we're trying to decide what we want to do, if we want to try and get over there or what. And so I was looking around and I don't know, I guess the DM just wanted to play our characters, because then he's like, why don't you just dimension door across? I'm like, yeah, I guess we could do that. And so He's like, you probably gotta scroll a dimension door. I'm like, maybe, I don't know, I haven't looked. Can you give us a minute to plan things out? We're not allowed to plan anything out here. So we did. I just used a regular spell. I didn't want to waste my scroll, because the scroll you can use when you're out of spell slots. Um, and I have spell slots available, so I'd rather use the thing that comes back rather than use up the scroll that doesn't. You know, and so we dimension doored back over to the group, and then we went back as a full group and wandered over to a section we hadn't been to yet. I honestly don't know what the point is now of being on this floor other than exploring. Although, to be fair, I don't know what the point of being on any of the floors is except for exploring and killing things. As I said, this has been the worst campaign. Not totally the DM's fault, although, you know, he does make things worse than they have to be often. But I don't understand who sits down to write a campaign and goes, I know, I want a campaign where there's no storyline, and all you do is wander around and kill things. Which is fine, if that's what you wanted, but to put it in a book and then call it an adventure, this is not much of an adventure. This is just me clearing out the trash. It's odd. Oh, that's also odd. This is like that creepy hotel. Ooh, there was yeah, look at that. There was a in real life there's a hotel where they put cameras and stuff in all the rooms so they could look in on the people. And I forget what that was. There were tapes. I remember there were tapes. I either listened to a podcast about it or watched a documentary about it. I love true crime stuff, so I also didn't look to see what that was for. Apparently that was the final book in a set, though, it sounded like. How do I check my book sets? It's gotta be under here. Here. Must have finished this one. Okay, what's the permanent perk? Oh, bulk craft all robotic turret. Wow. Bulk craft all robotic turret ammo. Cool. Look, I'm only one away from Spear Hunter. And one away from bows. One away from clothes. This is what I need. I need 2 more for brawling. 2 more for mining. Those sound awesome. What I need is steel. Where's my steel recipes? Yeah, cheating game. Anyways, yep, so that was our session this week. It wasn't terrible, but again, I would like it if there was something going on. I like saving the world, right? I mean, that's what you go into for a game as I sit here and play a game that has no story. But when I play D&D, I want to save the world. I don't want to do this, right? I don't know why I enjoy scavenging so much in this game, but I do. I like this game a lot. I have been playing it pretty consistently since it came out. And when I say pretty consistently, I mean I've made videos every week on this game since it came out. Like, what, 10 years ago? I honestly, I'm not sure the release date. I think it was 2013, though. Don't need that. I always could use bullets. Let's see. I find it weird. So I had a discussion about Henry Cavill leaving The Witcher, and I want to go down this hole, and okay, that's just weird. Why do you have caskets down here? Um, I I don't know. I find it hard to care, honestly, because I've read the books, and I I already know that they're not following the okay. They're doing a way better job of following the books than people act like they are. I don't know what books they've read where they think that the show doesn't follow the books very well. Did they add some stuff? Yes, they definitely added backstory for Yennefer, which makes sense because she's a major character in the books that doesn't get a backstory. Which is weird. It's just weird. Although to be fair, I guess, since coming up quickly from the point we're at in the show, compared to the books, they would have to change the story because most of the main characters don't exist in the books. What was that noise? Spoilers for The Witcher, because I'm going to talk a little bit about The Witcher here. I did not like the books. I liked the first two books. I haven't read the newest book. I started to, and then I'm just like, I think I'm Witchered out. And so I I didn't read the newest book. I don't think that matters because of the makeup of the books. So the first two books in the Witcher series are a collection of short stories about Geralt fighting monsters, which is basically the first game. I didn't finish the second game. The games don't follow the books at all. They are based off of characters from the books, but in reality have nothing to do with the books. None of the storyline in the first book is from the Witcher books. None of the storyline in the first game matches anything that I've read in the Witcher books. And I know the third game is supposed to take place after the Witcher books. So again, nothing to do with the Witcher books. And I don't think the second one has anything to do with the books either. For sure, the parts that I did play in the second game have nothing to do with the books. So there might be some story crossover, like, you know, these things happened in Geralt's life, and therefore these things are referenced in the games, but nothing that I played in the games. And like I said, I didn't play the third one. I'm aware that it takes place after the books, and I know the first game has nothing to do with the books, except maybe the newest book. I didn't read the newest book. I don't know. But at no point in the main Witcher books that I have read do they do the story about the kid who grows up to be the bad guy, and then you have to time travel to take out the bad guy, right? None of that is in the Witcher books. And so, yeah, so it's really weird where I keep reading about how people either love the Witcher series or they hate it because it doesn't follow the books. But the problem is the first 2 seasons are pretty good at hitting those first 2 books. Like, most of the stories in the first 2 seasons are fairly closely based off of what goes down in the books. Now, are there some differences? Yes. But I expect that when a book is adapted. Because a book can have short stories that aren't related to anything. A series needs to build rapport for the characters. And so people need to want to follow those characters, right? And so it's not weird to me for them to have like the whole Yennefer thing, right? Yennefer is going to be one of the main characters. Yennefer needs screen time so that people want to know about Yennefer. She doesn't get it in the books. But in the book, it doesn't matter because it's a book. And, you know, you can latch on to one character in the books and just follow that one character all the way through. But for a TV show, you need to want the actors on the screen. Otherwise, they're just wasting their money on actors that you don't want to see on the screen. And so, you know, it makes sense to me that Yennefer gets a backstory. I like that Yennefer has a backstory. I liked Yennefer's backstory on the show. I liked the show. I thought the show was pretty fun. And I thought it was a pretty good match for the first 2 books. Exact? No, because they had to turn short stories into a narrative story. And so, you know, some things got scrambled a little bit to make that narrative. But for the most part, they match. So now that we're to season 3, right? Season 3 is going to be where the narrative starts in the 3rd book. A lot of what happened... Well, you know what? A lot of what happened in the 3rd book has already been shown as well. So we're probably a bit past maybe the 3rd book. I can't remember if it's the 3rd book or the 4th book, but we reached a point in the 3rd or 4th book. I don't even remember how many books there are, honestly. I think there's 8 total now. I haven't read the 8th one. So the first 3 books, maybe 4 books. Yeah, let's say the first 4 books are at least partially covered by the first 2 seasons so far. The thing they haven't done is they haven't taken... They did a thing where they... let me see. So they did a part where they tried to train Ciri with Triss. And then they did a thing where they sent her with Yennefer. And I honestly can't remember what happened in this season 2. I only watched it once. I I do know that in the book this is how it goes down, and this is why I don't feel as bad about them switching actors. Uh, in the books, after Ciri makes it to the academy where they're supposed to train her in her witch powers, uh, they have a civil war between the magic users, and the tower gets destroyed where she's at. But there's an unstable teleport at the top of the tower, and she goes through that. And Geralt gets so badly wounded that he has to go into hiding to recover. And Yennefer disappears. And so from that point on, Geralt and Yennefer are barely characters in the books. And so the fact that the main actor for Geralt is leaving, but they're replacing him with someone else. So they're going to have to change the story because Geralt does nothing after that point in the books. And I hated it. It's why I don't like the books. I like them up until the point the tower explodes. And then you've got Geralt recovering from his wound. And then once he does, he goes looking for Ciri. But he doesn't know where to look, so he just chooses a random direction. And he goes from there to fight in a war. So first he's in the woods, and then he leaves the woods to fight in a little battle. And then he leaves the battle to go winter at a castle. And then he leaves the castle to wander off, and then he gets actual word where I think Yennefer is. And so then he goes to rescue Yennefer, which just happens to reunite him with Ciri. And then the bad guy's like, look, we already know that I'm more powerful than both of you. And so if you, I don't want to kill you. I don't want to execute you. I want you to take the old noble's way out, which is you kill yourself. And so that's what they agreed to do. And then Ciri, who's gone on this weird adventure thing where she joined a group of bandits, and then the group of bandits gets killed, and then she gets kidnapped by this bounty hunter guy who's supposed to take her back to the bad guy. And then she escapes from those people, and then she goes gallivanting around the multiverse with elves and the Lady of the Lake and the Fisher King and Lancelot and maybe the Green Knight. Is the Green Knight in there? I don't remember. And eventually she comes back, and then that's when they capture her again, and then the bad guy's going to take her. Am I headed the right direction here? No. I want to go check the other town for a hotel or a motel. And so then when they leave Geralt and Yennefer, she starts to cry. And then just before Geralt and Yennefer, do what they're supposed to, Ciri shows up. And she's like, yeah, I don't know. I started crying and he told me just to go. And then he left. And then after that, Geralt gets killed. And that's the end of the main story for The Witcher. And I'm like, okay, so we've made it all the way up to the point where they're taking Ciri to be trained in the TV show. So all that's left for Geralt is basically get nearly killed in the tower, hang out in the forest, fight in a battle on a bridge, hang out in a castle for the winter, and then get killed by peasants. I mean, that's all the story that's left for Geralt in the books. And people are like, oh, I wish they'd follow the books. The material in the books is so much better. The show is the material, pretty much. It's not like the Wheel of Time, where they don't match the books at all. At least Geralt has the same events happening for the most part. The Wheel of Time is totally different. The Wheel of Time would be like if they decided Geralt wasn't the main character of The Witcher, and instead they should have the main character be Triss. And everything that Geralt does in the books is now done by Triss. That's what they've done to the Wheel of Time series. And yeah. Anyways, I'm not going to talk about Wheel of Time because that one's pretty angering to me. It's crazy. They're like, oh, The Witcher is nothing like it. No, The Witcher's pretty close. I've read the books and watched the show. It's not as far off as you make it out to be. It's not like the Wheel of Time. What really irritates me about the Wheel of Time, I mean, beyond that they've ruined, any semblance of matching the books. I mean, they literally, the wheel. Okay, I gotta just say, right, Geralt does things in the TV show that Geralt does in the books. Like, somebody else doesn't do the things that Geralt's supposed to do. Whereas in the Wheel of Time series, the Dragon Reborn, who's the hero-ish of the books, gets replaced by a woman who barely gets mentioned in the books to do his big book-ending moment. So I don't even understand why you would think that would be okay. To just be like, you know what? The sister of the guy who ran that one city they were in, she should be the one to wipe out the large army by herself, practically, instead of the main character. Because... Nope, don't know. And I guess, real quick, I wanted to talk about, my internet. It infuriates me. I've spent the last week, trying to cut back on the... Hey, guy. To cut back on... We have more than one, ISP that we're connected to. Oh, dude. I've never seen that happen before. I just shot that guy's head off. His head came right off. That's crazy. Usually they explode. They'll just fall off on the ground like that. So I got an email from Starlink, because that's my main ISP. And it's the middle of the month. We had... It's a little past the middle of the month. I think we had 11 or 12 days left on my billing cycle. And so I get this email, and they're like, yeah, we're turning on our fair use policy. And so if you use a terabyte of data, then you're going to get throttled. And I'm like, what? So I've been trying to cut back on how much data gets used, which really sucks. What is the point of me having access to broadband finally if I'm not allowed to do anything with it? Like, literally, I download a game that's 100 gigabytes, right? A game. You think I'm only going to download one game a month? I'm a gamer. I need data. What's this crap? So I've had to turn all my downloads back to off-peak hours instead of just downloading whenever I feel like. But we're a super heavy internet use family. There's 5 of us who are online constantly. A terabyte a month is not a lot of data when there's that many people wanting to do stuff on the internet. I mean, I'm like 5 to 10 gigs a day by myself. But I work from home, so, you know, I do have a lot of internet usage for work. But still, We can't watch Netflix. You can't binge a show. You can't binge a show in HD. That's your terabyte right there. You know, I got the email, and then it tells me I used 100 gigabytes on Friday last week. I only get a terabyte. I used 100 gigabytes on a single day. I mean, it wasn't just me, it was everybody, but we used 100 terabytes in a single day, or 100 gigabytes in a single day, because I downloaded a game. It was, 40 gigabytes to download that game. We use around 40 to 50 gigabytes a day of data here, it looks like to me. You know what? You know what 50 gigabytes a day is? More than a terabyte. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It didn't make any sense. Well, you see, we don't want... It's money. We want money. I don't know why they didn't just say that. We have a fair use policy so that, people who don't use as much as you use can still get their regular usage. How does that work? That's not even how your internet works. That's not how Starlink internet works. You're insane. You're insane to post that as your fair use. Although when I got looking into it, apparently it's worded that way because a law was passed that they weren't allowed to throttle people the way they were throttling people. And so this is how they get around it so they can continue to throttle people. It's infuriating. I really, really hope that the conduit that got put in my yard that nobody's done anything with yet is going to be fiber optic internet, because as soon as I can get access to better internet, I'm switching. Starlink is okay. It's better than what I had in some ways. But this terabyte data cap really infuriates me. Let's see. Was there anything else I want to talk about today? Nope, I don't think so. Alright. With that, be bearing the small things, lean to the light. I will talk to you later.